Denver City Councilman, who was paralyzed from the waist down, was there at this event to participate in a debate. And they had no wheelchair access. They had no way of getting him to allow himself to do this himself, to get up there. So they just kind of stood around and watched and said, this is the best way we can do it. You got to get to those chairs, man. He eventually decided to give up, and they decided to move the debate down to the floor. Let's watch more.
They're deciding to put the debate on the floor instead of making the city councilman crawl across the stage.
The city councilman's name is Chris Hines, and he spoke about how he felt as he had to go through this entire thing. He says, I'm thinking I look like a circus monkey. I am a circus monkey, he says, on Saturday. And all these folks who are here to determine who their next city council member is, they see me just floundering. The debate stage at Cleo Parker Robinson Dance, which was sponsoring the event, did not have an accessible option for wheelchairs. Realizing it would be difficult to lift the 400-pound wheelchair and the 200-pound councilman onto the stage, organizers then offered that suggestion. And Mr. Hines said, could he get himself onto the stage? And then could they lift the wheelchair? And from that 400-pound weight, apparently they couldn't. And he said it also affected his performance there, because you can imagine what things are going through your mind. There's an auditorium semi full of people, and then you've had to go through this beforehand. He had felt obligated to participate, he said, because of an elections law that says if a candidate skips a debate, matching campaign funds from the city are forfeited. He said he barely remembered his debate performance because of how distracted he was by what had just happened to him. And on his campaign page, though, because he's probably experienced things like this before, he has this, but breaking barriers when it allows for access, advocating for more access for wheelchair users, as he pointed out. And he said how he was elected as the first Denver official who uses a wheelchair for mobility. Again, it goes to the representation of many folks that lack representation. So again, as I said, when it comes to things with airport access and the way that they damage people's chairs, which probably weigh and cost all these amounts, they just kind of don't realize it, as I didn't either. But maybe as you start paying attention to people who experience these things, or that's their life, and it's perfectly fine, they go through their lives the way they want, and then we don't give access like that because we're overlooking it. It's a very simple thing to happen. Really fast, a reminder of what we were talking about before with some of the access to wheelchair users in things like airports, and I guess also in auditoriums. Let's watch that again.
Because wheelchair users don't just entrust their lives to the airlines, they also have to hand over their custom-built medical equipment, which, in Ladau's case, costs upwards of $30,000.
Oh my God, it is broken.
Is it not the chair?
Oh no, that's supposed to be firmly on here, and okay, all right. I'm going to try not to have a complete freak out right now. I have some duct tape.
The US Department of Transportation says last October, airlines were damaging an average of 35 wheelchairs and mobility scooters every day. Travelers with disabilities have repeatedly gone viral during busy travel times, sharing their experiences on TikTok.
I knew that this would happen to me eventually because it happens to friends of mine every day. You're essentially breaking our legs.
How many people have to go through this physical and emotional trauma before something changes?
We're wondering still, Jess. So there's another example of it. Maybe things will start to turn around.
I hate to be this guy, which maybe I love to be this guy, but do you know what president was responsible for deregulating the airline industry?
No.
It was Jimmy Carter. We could have had maybe some better regulation of this kind of thing if we didn't deregulate the airline industry. Still does good work building homes, but I mean, we can't let corporations have this much power over how people move when they're not gonna consider, I don't know, basic safety regulations, to have some accountability. Maybe they have insurance where they buy someone new equipment that they need to get around if they break it. Any number of things. They have way too much power if they're not doing those things.
So if that's the situation, you're noticing it, maybe it's time for a small change or maybe some big ones. Again, these are tax-paying citizens, just saying, they count too.